Sports don't just build stronger bodies, they build stronger brains. And when you combine sports with intentional mental performance training, you create an environment where young athletes don't just become better competitors, they become healthier, more confident, and more capable people. Welcome back to the Mental Weight Room, where we train the brain just like you train your body. I'm Antoinette Datoc, your host and certified mental performance coach, and today we're talking about something every parent and coach should know. Sports are one of the greatest gifts we can give our kids, and when we intentionally teach mental skills alongside physical skills, we're not just helping kids become better athletes, we're helping them develop skills they'll use for the rest of their lives. Let's dive in. Before we talk about the benefits of sports, it's important to understand something about the adolescent brain. A child's brain isn't fully developed when they leave elementary school or even when they graduate from high school or college. In fact, one of the last areas of the brain to fully mature is the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for planning, decision-making, impulse control, emotional regulation, and focusing of attention. Scientists believe it continues developing well into the mid-20s. And why does this matter? Because the experiences that children have during childhood and adolescence help shape those developing brain pathways. And when they participate in sports, every practice, every game, every challenge, every mistake, every comeback, they're all opportunities for the brain to grow. Sports demands young athletes solve problems, make decisions under pressure, regulate emotions, communicate with teammates, and stay focused in spite of distractions or disruptions. Those are executive functioning skills that they use long after their playing days are over. And that's why sports are about so much more than physical performance. They're about mental performance too. Physical movement affects the brain in remarkable ways. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, promotes the growth of new capillaries, and stimulates the release of proteins that help brain cells grow, communicate, and form new connections. In other words, movement stimulates learning and brain development. Every drill, every repetition, and every game strengthens not only muscles in the body, but also the brain's ability to process information, remember skills, adapt to changing situations, and make decisions more efficiently. Mental performance training builds on that foundation. Rather than hoping athletes naturally develop the confidence, focus, and emotional control through experience alone, we intentionally teach those skills so the brain learns even more effectively. Sports also improve focus. Learning to focus despite distractions is one of the greatest benefits of playing sports. Think about it. A tennis player has to let go of the last point. A baseball player has to refocus after striking out on a pitch. A gymnast has to reset and refocus in order to finish her routine after falling off the balance beam. Every one of those moments is another repetition for the brain. And learning to focus through distractions or disruptions transfers into the classroom, the workplace, and everyday life. Mental performance training accelerates that learning. Athletes learn breathing techniques, reset routines, cues, visualization, and attention control strategies that help them to redirect their focus quickly and consistently. Focus isn't something athletes are born with, it's a skill. And like any other skill, it can be trained. Another benefit we don't talk about enough is creativity. Research has shown that children who spend time in unstructured play, like pickup games or backyard competitions and simply figuring things out on their own, often become more creative problem solvers as adults. When kids aren't constantly being told exactly what to do, they learn to adapt. They experiment, they solve problems, they make decisions. As coaches and parents, sometimes the best thing we can do is step back and let the kids figure things out for themselves. Mental performance training supports this by teaching athletes how to become more aware of their thinking, evaluate different options, and make confident decisions under pressure instead of freezing or second-guessing themselves. Now let's talk about confidence. Many people believe confidence comes from winning. Nope, it doesn't. Winning can certainly boost confidence, but that's temporary. Lasting confidence comes from evidence. Every time a young athlete learns a new skill, keeps a commitment, works through something difficult, recovers after making a mistake, or shows courage in spite of being really nervous, their brain collects evidence that says, I can do hard things. Mental performance training teaches athletes how to intentionally recognize progress, celebrate even the smallest victory, and build confidence based on preparation and growth, not just outcome or results. That cultivates the kind of confidence that lasts. Sports builds resilience because here's one thing every athlete has in common: they're going to fail, they're going to lose, they're going to make mistakes, they're going to have bad performances. Failure isn't the problem. It's how athletes respond to failure that matters. Every setback gives the developing brain another opportunity to learn how to adapt. Without guidance, failure can often become discouragement. But with the right tools, failure becomes feedback. It becomes data for improvement. Mental performance training teaches athletes how to reset after mistakes, how to regulate their emotions and ask a much better question. Not, what's wrong with me? But, what can I learn from this? This single shift helps build resilience that carries far beyond sports. One of the greatest benefits of sports is a sense of belonging, of building community. Kids become part of something bigger than themselves. They build relationships with teammates. They learn from coaches. They celebrate together. They struggle together. They support one another. These shared experiences strengthen communication, leadership, empathy, and emotional intelligence. And these are all skills that are still developing during adolescence and will benefit them throughout adulthood. Research also consistently shows that students who participate in sports often perform better academically than their classmates who do not participate in sports. Why? Because many of the same executive functioning skills needed in sports are the same ones students rely on in school. Planning, organization, time management, sustained attention, self-discipline, goal setting. Sports become a real-world classroom where kids practice these skills over and over and over again. So where does mental performance training fit into all of this? Here's how I explain it. Sports provide the experience. Mental performance training helps athletes learn from the experience. Think about learning how to shoot a basketball. You could spend hours and hours and hours practicing by yourself, and you'd eventually improve, and that's important. Or you could have a coach teach you proper technique, provide feedback, and help you make adjustments, and then practice hours and hours and hours and hours. You'll improve much faster with a coach. Mental skills work exactly the same way. Sports naturally create opportunities to develop confidence, focus, resilience, emotional control, and decision-making. Mental performance training teaches athletes how to intentionally build those skills. Instead of hoping confidence appears, we teach athletes how to build it. Instead of hoping they recover after mistakes, we teach a reset routine. Instead of hoping they focus under pressure, we teach clarity and focus strategies. Because the adolescent brain is still developing, these years represent an incredible window of opportunity. Whether your child becomes a college athlete, continues playing recreationally, or even moves on from sports altogether, the lessons their brain learns through athletics will stay with them long after the final whistle blows. The goal isn't simply raising better athletes, it's raising young people who know how to focus, solve problems, regulate emotions, persevere through challenges, and believe in themselves. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this episode helpful, click like, drop me a comment, share it with a coach, parent, or teammate, and don't forget to subscribe to the Mental Weight Room podcast on social media so you never miss a mental workout. And if there's a topic you're curious about or something you'd love to hear me cover on the podcast, send an email to me at Antoinette Datoc. I'd love to hear your ideas, and your question just might inspire a future episode. You never know. This is Coach Antoinette signing off, and until next time, keep training your brain like you train your body and keep pushing your limits.